Okay, so I'm at the beach and I've been crying since I've been here nonstop. And I always feel attracted to water. I always want to go by the water and journal, and I cry for a little bit and then I'm done. But today is my first time being at the beach since I've started ketamine and since I've started the training, and I just been crying nonstop, just thinking about how I grew up and how miserable I was. I thought I was happy, but I was only happy for the first couple years that I was there. And then once I got older and all these people started leaving, and I couldn't cope. And so that's when it got bad. But the first few years were really, really good. So when I was there, I remember we always used to go to the beach and we always had fun. And so when I first got here and I'm looking at the water and the waves, I feel this calm. And then as soon as I feel calm, I start crying because I'm thinking about my good times I had at Hope. And and then I'm good, and then I think of something sad, then I start crying because of that, something sad that happened as a childhood when I was at the home. Sorry, I can't speak right now because I'm so discombobulated, but apparently I love the water because it puts my body in this calm state, this parasympathetic state. And now that I've done this, now that I'm thawing, whenever I get into the parasympathetic state, before I just felt happy, but now it signals my body to release stuff. And so I got to the beach and I feel this calm looking at the waves, and then my breathing's good, and then all of a sudden I get waves of every 10 minutes I'm crying about something. I stop crying, I'm crying about something, and it just been like that for 2 hours. And I wanted to leave, but I was I want to stay here and cry as much as I can. That's one thing I've been praying about, is I just cry so much and release so much trauma. And so yeah, I've been here for about 2.5 hours and I'm just crying. Every 10 minutes I'm crying. People are driving by and I'm and they look at me through the window and I'm I don't care. I need to release this. I need to I need to get this out of my system. So, I first got here, I instantly remember when I was a child and the fun times. The first 2 years we'd always go to the beach, and we had such a fun time at the beach. So as soon as I get here, I put my playlist on, I'm looking at the waves, and I feel a nostalgic happiness, and so I'm crying. And then 10 minutes later, now I'm thinking about going forwards, my time after those 2 years, how miserable I was and how no one understood me and no one knew how to deal with me, and how I just didn't feel anything. And so I'm crying hard about that. I was so miserable because even now I feel miserable. It's my state, my base level is miserable and sadness and depression. So I'm crying about that, and then I was fine, and then I'm crying again about thinking of the happiness that I had at Hope for the first 2 years, crying for my gut. And when I'm saying crying, these are gut cries. These aren't they're gut cries. I feel it in my gut. When a baby cries and they stop breathing for 10 seconds, these are the cries I'm doing. So I know that they're restorative, but I'm crying about that, and then I was fine. Then I go back to crying about how miserable I was, and that I kept on switching back from that. And then when I first started doing shadow work, they tell you to get a picture when you in your childhood. So I have my picture. Oh, it's really dark. I have my picture, and so I'm staring at the picture, and then I start crying about the picture because this is me, but because I have depersonalization, I don't recognize this as me. I see this person, I know this was me. I remember vaguely taking the picture, but looking at it, it just looks like another person, and that's because of trauma. I have depersonalization, so I started crying because of that. because my trauma was so bad and I didn't know how to cope. I compartmentalized everything, and then eventually I just shut down. So I'm being so racist right now, and I don't mean to be. Someone's like right behind my car, just standing there, and there's like all this, I don't know. I locked my doors. I do apologize. But yeah, and then I'm just like, this girl was so innocent, and how I remember at this time vaguely, but I remember it's right before I was like depressed and miserable and lonely, and I start crying for this person, for what she experienced at that time, and then what she's gonna experience. I'm just crying from the gut. And then I'm crying for this because I look at all our faces and I understand that we didn't have anyone, and the way we were raised, like, you know, they try their best, but, you know, there's 3 of us that were like the problem child, and we have the most trauma. And you know, my sister Stephanie, she like got depressed and then was stressed, and she's on psychotic medicine, and then I'm on psychotic medicine, and then Junior is gonna get on it, and he's looking at it right now. So we're all like so messed up, but we're getting help. But like I was just so like just crying, you know, thinking about me and my brother. My brother has the worst trauma, and he doesn't even know it yet, and he needs so much help, just like I do. So I'm just like crying and like thinking of what if we were all like, we had no one, and you know, there's kids that have no one and they go through this much of trauma, and you know, like they don't have anybody, and so like that really made me really sad, and I start crying from that. And I'm like, you know, there's a lot of black men like that have no one, and they're just told to suck it up, and that's how there's so much trauma that's passed down, because you know, we're not told to like work through stuff. So I just start crying from the gut from that. And then what else was I crying for? This whole time, I promise you, this whole 2.5 hours, I was just crying. I can't even think of what else I was crying about. There's a scene in Toy Story that I hated used to watching, because like I don't know why, but it was like when the girl Woody was singing, you know, when somebody loves you, and she's like has her toys, or is it that? And then every year there's like less toys, and then like it's and then eventually like she's gone. And that reminded me, like I thought of myself, because I have bad attachment issues, I have abandonment issues, because every couple years, you know, you'd get used to like this like group of people, you know, your roommates for a year, and you're with each other every day, and so you get used to the people, and then like after 2 years they cycle out, they all leave, and some more come, and then after 2 years, you know, they cycle out and more come, and like the longer I got there, the less amount of time they were staying there. So I was always cycling through people. So I start crying, imagining me, and then like a picture of all of the girls, and every 3 years it's just different people. And I have such abandonment and attachment wounds because of that. And I just start crying, and I can see it, because even at work, you know, I sit in a group, and there's about 13 of us, and we're, you know, it's a good group, there's no drama, we do our stuff and we leave. And I was thinking about us moving, anyone moving. You know, I heard this one girl, we don't even talk that much, but I like her presence, and so I heard her talking to the manager about moving, and like I got sad, even though I don't know her very well. But it's like I don't like any type of change because of like my abandonment issues, and I'm just crying, and like I love that I'm crying and releasing stuff. And I'm probably gonna start going to the beach a lot more, because when I'm at the beach, I feel my system, it puts me in the parasympathetic like calm mode. And now, before, like I'd feel it, but now that I am like defrosting, And on ketamine, I can feel more of my emotions, like they're starting to come out whenever I get in this mode. I think that it's gonna start like just releasing trauma. And so I love crying. I love crying from the gut. And so I'll probably come back Friday and maybe go to the beach. I don't know yet, because I have OCD right now, so I'm like scared of like putting my feet in the sand, because like other people's feet in the sand, and you don't know where other people's feet are at. And like I'm like, to me the sand is like sitting on the public seat. Like, why you wouldn't do it? Because germs, and that's the same way I feel like sand. But I'm gonna try to maybe do like a full day at the beach Friday, and just release trauma and cry. So this is really good. This is such a breakthrough, you know. I do have to thank God for it, because I prayed. I'm like, Lord, the rest of this year, let me cry and release as much trauma as I can. And I've cried like 7 times today. I mean, at the beach. I cried twice this morning. I cried like, not like gut cries, but like little, like kind of releases. Like, I cried like twice yesterday, and you know, the day before that, you know, I cried like from the gut a couple times, realizing that I'm sad and miserable. So I'm always crying, but that's like, you know, my body is starting to come online, so I'm really happy about that, and see where that goes. I called out of work today because I woke up so like mad, and I knew I couldn't go to work like that. So tomorrow I have to work 16 hours, so we'll do it, but whatever.